We'll go ahead and get started here. We'll call the town board meeting of Tuesday, June 23rd, 26 to order at 6:35. And if everybody could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Alicia, if you could please do roll call.
Supervisor Lemeti.
Here.
Supervisor Cole.
Here.
Supervisor Olson.
Here.
Supervisor Henriksen.
Here.
Supervisor Ludke.
Here.
And for the record, we have Town Attorney Mark Alsites.
You. All right, we'll open the public forum section of the meeting. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? Yep, come on up, please.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. Carissa, Rum River Consultants, and I'm here with Building Official Schrader as well in case there's any questions that come up.
Sure.
I just wanted to briefly clarify a few things that came up from the June 9th board meeting regarding the non-compliance SSTS at 77 Fawn Lake Drive. Just to give a little background on our process, because I don't think we've ever addressed it before with everyone, is when Rum River receives a non-compliant septic report, we'll review it against MPCA and Township Code to determine why the system was deemed non-compliant and then when that deadline applies. So, for example, if a system's failing to protect groundwater, the system typically is required to be repaired or replaced within 24 months. After the review, Rum River then drafts and mails out a letter to the property owner explaining the non-compliance, the required corrective action, and the applicable deadline. Sorry, guys. Approximately 6 months before the deadline, we'll send out a final notice letter, pretty much saying everything all over again, and that you have 6 months to bring it into compliance. For this property in question, we had mailed out 2 different letters, one on May 3rd of 2024, and then one on October 6th of 2025. The deadline for the property to be brought into compliance was April 17th of 2026. So then on our process is to notify the township. So on May 4th, I notified the township that the system was still out of compliance. And then we provided copies of the 2 letters and recommended escalation to either the township attorney or code enforcement, whatever your guys' process is. So we didn't directly forward it to you at all or anything. We wouldn't do that. We would only send it to the township. And then whatever the process is here internally, that's up to you guys. So if you want to change that process, of course, you're always able to do that. But that was kind of our portion. So as of the April 17th deadline, no permit had been submitted. A replacement permit was later submitted on June 6th, but it was under the incorrect property address. So then on June 9th, the correct address was corrected in baseline. So as of today, all required inspections for the septic replacement have been completed. The only thing we're waiting on is the as-built paperwork from the contractor, and then it can be finalized and closed. So just for summary, we provided all of the records, the deadlines, permit information, and then however you guys want to do your internal process is up to you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions, anything you need from me? I don't know if
You
you're
okay?
open for them.
No, we're okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right, anybody else here for open forum? All right, we'll close this section of the meeting then. So public forum is now closed. All right, consideration approval of the agenda. Is there any changes or modifications that anybody would like to make?
I'm not a supervisor, but I will note tonight I did put in a proposed resolution with respect to electronic poll pads for the board's consideration. I had been corresponding a little bit with Supervisor Henriksen. She had sent over a proposed resolution. It's my understanding that that did not make it in the packet tonight. My intention was to discuss the 2 resolutions jointly, not to only put one before you. So I thought that this was going to be on the agenda, but it's not. So I'm happy with that coming off the agenda tonight so the board could address kind of all of the information all together at once instead of splitting it into two different meetings. So if a supervisor wishes to make a motion accordingly, great. If you all want to address it tonight, it's whatever the board wants to do.
Great, thank you for bringing that up, Mark. Would you like to table it till the next meeting?
We can
or-
table it if we do it tonight. I got paperwork in the car. I got.
All right, let's go ahead and, it's a long meeting, so.
Okay,
All right, let's remove 8.1 tonight and we'll bring that back on July 14th then. All right, thanks. Any other suggested changes? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Lisa and Sam, motion to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, consideration and approval of the consent agenda. This has 5 items on it. The meeting minutes for a workshop at our last meeting. Resolution 2026-09 for liquor and gambling for Fun Fest. Claims list and payroll. Any changes? All right, is there a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, John and Dan, any other comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And is there any abstentions? All right, that passes 4-0 and 1 abstention. All right, we got a couple agendas here. So new business, public hearing, chapter 2, article 1, 3, and 6 for proposed ordinance amendments. So I'll call the public hearing to order at 6:42. Is there anyone here for a public hearing? Is there anyone here for the public hearing? Any comments? Third time. Yep. Joe, if you want to come up, please.
Joe Dolphy, 7070 Fawn Lake Drive, Northeast, Stacy, Minnesota. What do the ordinance amendments refer to? You got Article 1, 3, and 5 or 6. What are they, it's a public hearing regarding ordinance amendments. What do they refer to?
Weren't they outlined in the public hearing or the public notice?
Okay. I just thought being there on the agenda, they should be identified to what they refer to, but okay.
I would summarize them if I knew it off the top of my head, but I don't. Do we have a copy of the public hearing that we can read? The notice?
I'll see if I can.
It's on the website. If you jump to
Full
homepage,
packets on the website.
whole packet is, yeah, but the public notice is right on the homepage.
See.
All right.
Here we go. So please take notice that the Linwood Town Board will hold a public hearing to consider a proposed ordinance to amend Linwood Town Code as follows. Chapter 2, Article 1, Chapter 2, Article 3, Chapter 2, Article 6. The purpose of the proposed amendment is to amend administrative language and fees for services. The public hearing will be held then today.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Okay, so there's details in the public notice of what each of those articles refer to?
Well, the fee schedule, that's one that we've gone through. I think.
I
in the
know
last
it's
board
the
member.
park dedication and yeah.
Yep, so all the fee schedule stuff is in there. And then some things that you had mentioned too about section 2, I think it was. So there was a few changes to that in terms of the planning and zoning section.
Chapter 2, Article 1 is administration in general. Chapter 2, Article 3 is boards, committees, and commissions. And Chapter 2, Article 6, I'm bouncing between 2 here to make sure I get everything. Chapter 2, Article 6 is fees, rates, and charges.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right. Any other comments for the public hearing? All right, seeing none, we will close this portion of the public hearing. All right, that closes 7.1. 7.2, resolution 2026-08. Pardon me?
Clarification, do we then vote? Take action on?
Is that the resolution? Is the resolution taking action on?
No, this is a
Let's
totally
jump
different thing.
into a
Oh, yeah.
variance one. We have to take action on this ordinance. for-
Yes. We should do a vote to adopt the ordinance as amended in the agenda packet.
Okay. Somebody like to take board action on that?
The only thing in terms of this was the question I had around the fees that we're collecting. Because we wouldn't update is our credit card fee covering us at 2.9%? You know if that's covering us, the 2.9% for the credit card fee?
Yes.
Okay. And then tires, we had discussed, scrolling down to it, because we got updated last week from recycling. And we have tires in here at 5.
Yeah, and I heard it went up more.
So then just making sure that we're
Was it-
covered at that to go to 6, if that was gonna be agreeable to the board.
Yeah, because it's over 5, I think, that were charged, and we've lost money on the tires already this year.
So the figure that they gave us of 340 or 385 or whatever that was for the past, I know that was for past bill. Okay. So we're looking at moving from 5 to 6
Yes.
per tire. Okay. All right.
And then I don't know, do we just not take tractor tires and semi tires? Was that voted on? Because they would be up more too.
We did take those off just because of the
Okay.
hassle of them, so they've been stricken. Just because of their anomaly in fee.
And the larger
inside.
truck tires are a little more with the $6. I don't know what.
It's passenger, light truck and trailer tires. I mean, if somebody's coming with their 33-inch mutters, that's not an on-road truck. That's staff can figure that part out. So, but I would make that we cover the cost at the $6.
Agreed. Anything else, Andy?
And then I think there was in here just going back up to the committees. Because in the one workshop, we discussed all the committees being the same at 5,
Mhm.
and it's still at 7. But getting rid of the alternate, but it would be going to 5 for all committees. So we don't have the challenges of filling the seats. And we're consistent across with all of our policies. Those are the only things I have for it.
Okay. All right. Anything else for anybody? All right. Would anybody like to make a motion on accepting it?
With that, I would make a motion that we accept ordinance number 222, an ordinance amending the Linwood Township Code of Ordinances related. Oh, that's the wrong one. Do we have? That's for the future one. We have an ordinance related to this one?
Did Rum River prepare? Let me see what Rum River prepared for you.
Well, they were just part of ours, so I don't think they had. That's what this one is. This is the
So we're looking at. Can you be clear with me, Supervisor Ledke? Are you addressing all 3 of the noticed issues at once, or are we just on one part of the?
I'm addressing all 3 under the public hearing. And
Okay,
it does not appear that we have in our packet an ordinance number with it, because ordinance 222 is referring to what,
and you all just have essentially the red line version.
yes.
Okay. What I'll do, because I don't see a summary for publication, I also don't see the ordinance. I'm just going to take some time here while we're conducting the rest of business tonight. We'll have time. I'll draft the ordinance. I'll draft a summary for publication for the board to approve. that ordinance will reflect the changes that are in the red lines that you all have. Did you make any changes in addition?
Just our discussion points here, if the board is agreeable to those 3 discussion point items.
Correct, yeah.
Do you have those 3 discussion point items?
So it'd be the tire fee. Stricken the committee's down to 5.
Are you on?
The committee's down to 5, and then going back up here. Oh, she already addressed the credit card fee, so that's just what it is.
Okay, so that's staying the same. All right, I'll get working.
Okay. All right, so we will come back to 7.1 in a little bit. All right, 7.2, resolution 2026-08. The variance for 8560 North Fawn Lake Road Northeast. And is in, oh, you're already up here. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair. So in this one resolution that you have this evening, you have 2 variances actually for Mr. Walter at 8560 North Fawn Lake Road Northeast. The 2 variances are, the first one is to allow an existing 259 square foot structure that's near the lake to be considered as their permitted 200 square foot structure. And number 2 is to allow the facade of the new accessory structure that they would like to build to be harmonious with, but not exactly matching the facade of the home, and then subject to conditions that are in the packet. The Planning Commission reviewed these at their meeting last week and had a public hearing and ultimately recommended approval of both. Happy to answer any questions you have, and I believe Mr. Walter is here this evening as well.
Any questions? For the applicant or for Cindy? Right,
I reviewed a lot of it too.
Hmm.
I agree with it.
all right. What's the board's pleasure?
I will make a motion. We approve resolution number 2026-08, a resolution approving a variance related to accessory structures at 8560 North Fawn Lake Road Northeast.
I will second it.
Great, motion's been made and seconded. Andy and Lisa, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next one. Resolution 2026-011.
Thank you. This is a variance for to allow for a shared driveway access for the development that's known as, I'm going to blow this name, Hutching and Nishti Estates. The applicants have applied for this variance because they originally were approved in their preliminary plat for 3 lots that would all front on the county road and get access directly from the county road. The Anoka County Highway Department did not approve of one of the southernmost access to that lot directly, and they wanted it either to be shared with one of the other parcels or to come off of the township road instead. That's a gravel road. Due to various topological factors that are out there, including significant wetlands and such, the applicants, when they submitted their final plat application, redesigned everything, including the accesses, and that also changed all of their stormwater. So this final plat kind of took on a little bit of a review of kind of backtracking into some preliminary plat territory. But so they have applied for this variance. The Planning Commission reviewed it at their meeting last week and recommended approval of this variance to allow for the shared driveway. Happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here as well.
Okay, any questions, board? All right. Is there a board action?
Make a motion. We approve resolution number 2026-011, a resolution approving a variance related to a shared driveway access for a development known as Pashing and Nishi Estates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, Andy and Dan. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And next one is resolution 2026-012,
Thank you. This is for the same project. This is a resolution approving the final plat for that development. Typically, we would bring to you a development agreement at the same time. However, given that we were not clear as to what the board's pleasure would be regarding that variance, we did decide to bring these two items to you tonight, and then at your next meeting, we'll bring back the development agreement if this is approved.
Okay. Great. Any questions or comments?
We'll take great pleasure in doing this from Mr. Mushi because he's been waiting a while, so. I make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-012, a resolution approving a final plat or development known as Pashing and Nishi Estates.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded with Andy and Sam. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries 5-0. And then we've got resolution 2026-010.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this should be an ordinance instead of a resolution number, but it's an ordinance amending chapter 6 of the Linwood Code related to surveys and building permit issuance. For a quick summary of what this is, there's a red line in your packet, but generally speaking, your ordinance currently requires that certificates of survey be provided for basically any type of building permit. And they're not, we don't think that's actually what has been occurring in the past, but that is what the ordinance says. So we kind of have a little bit of a traffic jam occurring at the moment. So this would clean up those sorts of issues related to that. There is also, part of this also cleans up one other area where your ordinance requires that new homes that are on lots that are unplatted would have to go to both the planning commission and the town board for approval of a building permit, which isn't a standard thing either. So we're requesting that that be removed as well at this point. Also in front of you tonight, and it was not in your packet originally, was the summary version of this ordinance. So I would ask that you make a motion to adopt ordinance number 010 and approve the summary publication. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, any questions?
I just want to thank you guys for working on this and clearing this up because this is huge for processing some of the things that have been through. And as staff, the office and Rum River and Cindy worked pretty quickly on this one to clean this up.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you. All right,
And I just want to say that sometimes, I mean, if you get enough acreage, it should, you know, if it's in the middle, you should not have to have it surveyed.
all right, any other comments, questions? And none, is there
I will
board
make-
action?
I will make a motion approving ordinance number 010, an ordinance amending chapter 6 of the Linwood Town of ordinances related to surveys and building permits issuance along with summary language for publication.
All right, motion's been made, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded by Andy and Dan. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Right. And on 7-6, was there more to the P and Z action item list?
This was just seeking board direction, and authorization to have Planner Nash engage in going through the accessory structure ordinance amendments. She's been working with planning and zoning, and in terms of coming out of their last meeting, just trying to get to the next steps, and just wanted to have an official memorial record that the board has authorized her with her contract to clean up that language and help support P and Z get that one back for a public hearing on amending that, so.
Yeah, that makes a
looking
lot of
for board
sense to
action on
me.
that.
Yeah. Any comments, questions? Motion?
And I don't think there's any other tasks needed to be included in that, correct?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
So
so,
it's just the chapter 6.
no, it's the accessory structure.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I'll make a motion to direct Planner Nash to work with P and Z on drafting accessory structure and ordinance cleanup and amendments.
Great. Motion's been made. Is there a second? Go ahead.
You got it.
I'll second it. Motion been made and seconded, Andy and John. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. You had quite the list tonight, Cindy.
Yes. Nice to meet you all.
Likewise, and thanks for all the work you're doing for the township and P and Z. Appreciate it. All right, we're on new business 7.7. This is resolution 2026-06. This is appointing election judges for the 2026 primary. And are you representing this, Alicia? All right, floor is yours.
So we just are requesting a motion be made that we appoint the following election judges. Julie's been working really hard at reaching out to ones that we've used in the past, and we are both very grateful that so many of them are willing and able to come back again and really help us through this election year. So we have those listed out for you. And we just request that the board make a motion to adopt these supervisors for 2026, or sorry, not the supervisors, the election judges.
That's a lot of supervisors. I went through the list and all of them are great people. I have no questions about any of them, so. I'll make a motion to approve and adopt resolution 2026-06, which is the appointing of the election judges for the 2026 primary. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. John and Lisa, is there any other discussion?
Usually there's more than that. And so I mean, if anyone else wanted to join, and not everyone has to be paid. Just want to put that out there.
Great.
It is included too, in the resolution that if circumstances require additional people, that the interim clerk and coordinator are authorized to appoint as necessary. So we're hoping for more.
Glad you pointed that out. All right, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And you got another one coming up here, request for action on paying for the election judges.
Yes, we did some digging on the 2024 pay rate, and it was significantly below the averages that we found for other cities and counties, and the county, sorry. So we are requesting that we increase the election judge rate from 11 to 14 per hour. The technology judges be raised from 12.50 to 15, and the head judge be increased from 15 to 16, which matches and reflects that of the county.
All right, comments, questions?
Scroll down. I will make a motion to accept I will make a motion to accept the hourly pay rate of $14 for election judges, $15 for assistant judges and assistant and technology judges, and $16 for head judges for the 2026 election.
Great, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made, Andy, and seconded by Lisa. Any other discussion? You know, when I first looked at it, I thought that's a big jump in pay. But in the hiring that we've done recently, that's what it is. I mean, if you're gonna get good people, you gotta do it, so.
And they will be asked that day, and they will have to sign a paper, and they can choose if they want to be paid or not.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So that'll be some good news for them. All right,
Wilson, could I derail things just a little bit to grab a bit of information for this ordinance I'm drafting?
sure.
So the fee for, it was for tires?
Yes,
What is that
six.
fee
$6
per tire?
per tire.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's all I need.
All right, 7-9, request for action. This is the date change for AB voting.
Yes, so the absentee voting has formally been open for 46 days leading up to the election. This year, they are providing an option for all municipalities to choose 18 or 46 days. If a municipality chooses the 18 days, the residents can still go and do their absentee voting prior to that at the county level. So they would just go in for that full 46 there, or they have the 18 days to do it here. Staff are requesting a motion to accept the 18-day period for the 2026 election. This, you can change this moving forward, but just due to our current staffing levels and to support the integrity of the electoral process, as the envelope process of the absentee balloting is greatly decreased. So what happens with the absentee balloting is the residents come in and they give us that envelope. We have to double check everything, whether that's Julie and I, or we pay the election judges to come in because we have gone through that training as well. And then if there is any errors or anything like that, we do have to call in special judges to come in and do verifications. And then we put those in a sealed box, essentially. And those have to be brought down to the county every week.
Wow. I think that, like you said, current staffing levels, I can think of a lot of reasons to have it at 18 days. I can't find very many reasons to make it 46. We're not taking away from the citizens because they can still do in-person voting at the county if they want, and they can also still do mail-in ballot or the mail-in ballot. It's a whole nother process. So I don't see that we're harming our constituents by making it 18 days, but we are certainly helping the township and our staff out. Thoughts?
I agree. Pete?
Oh, I agree. I would just like to have a 1-day voting and back.
Yeah, the old days. I'll make a motion to implement the 18-day absentee voting for the township.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Is there anything else you needed in that motion other than that? Pretty straightforward, right? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Anything else for that? All right. All right, move on to 7.10. This is a request for action. It's a reappointment of Joe Dolphy for P and Z. Sam?
Yep. So just to note, this action is going to be open to the public for comment. So anybody's welcome to come talk after I'm finished. I want to make sure that Mr. Dolphy, you have a chance to speak. So bear with me. This may take a moment. I want to make sure that I'm accurate here. And there's quite a bit to go over. So the first thing I want to talk about is, for anybody who may be unaware, the board is accountable for the people who sit on our committees. The board is the only elected body in this township. The rest of the committees are appointed by the board. So the only mechanism that the citizens have for determining who sits on the committees is by electing people to the board, who then appoint to those committees. So with that in mind, that's a big responsibility of the board, is to make sure that who's on these committees are the right people. And let's see, on a few weeks ago, we received a few letters of interest for the reappointments to the planning and zoning commissions, which the seats of which expire after a certain number of years. So these are existing committee members who are seeking reappointment. And Mr. Joe Dolphy Jr. submitted one of those letters of interest for reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. When I saw this name, It rang a bell because I've been receiving a lot of feedback about our Planning and Zoning Commission in general and specifically Mr. Dolphy. And that reminded me of what I'd been hearing. So I don't like to go based off of what I hear. Everything that I'm going to talk about is exclusively from minutes and recordings. And so basically, long story short, I have some concerns about the reappointment of Joe Dolphy to the P and Z Commission. I have 5 major concerns. And I think all of them together really constitute a pattern that I don't think is healthy for a P and Z chair to be exhibiting. Individually, I think they're concerning, but I think collectively as a whole is where my concern particularly arises. And so what had happened was I don't like to surprise people in meetings. I don't like to be surprised myself. And so on the morning of June 16th, 2026, I had sent Mr. Dolphy an email regarding my concerns about his reappointment, which is attached in the packet in full for anybody to read. The purpose of that email was to give him a heads up of the concerns I have, so that he would know that this is coming in a meeting. Again, I don't want to just totally blindside somebody with this kind of thing and not offer them a fair opportunity to prepare and respond to it. And so I sent that email just to fully let him know what my concerns were. In that email, I noted my appreciation for his years of service. I stated plainly that there might be reasonable explanations for each of these concerns. And I said that my intent was not to accuse or argue, but to give fair notice. At the P and Z Commission meeting, same day that night, Mr. Dolphy described that email and the situation publicly, which I have no problem with it being described publicly. However, I do have a problem with the way it was characterized, including statements that I had wanted to handle this matter privately and that the board, including a sitting liaison, intends to remove him from the commission. So there's a couple points here I want to make perfectly clear. One, I do not conduct board business privately. I sent Mr. Dolphy a written heads up for the express purpose of having this matter aired fully, fairly, and in public. The suggestion that I wish to keep this private is the opposite, both of my intent and my practice. Second, no decision on Mr. Dolphy's reappointment has been made or discussed by the board. All action like regarding to this would be done in a meeting, which we may be doing today. So given what's happened to P and Z, I just want to make everything super clear. I want to lay it all out on the table, including the email and including what my concerns are. I'm open to discuss this during the meeting. I'm sure that there's going to be some back and forth on a few of these, especially because these are all I can base this off of is what I'm seeing in the minutes. Whether we vote on them today, it is on the agenda to vote on them today. So that's one thing, but this item is specifically just about discussing my concerns. So like I said, there's 5 concerns. The first is a failure to recuse from a recommendation vote. In March 19th, 2024, Mr. Dolphy was rezoning his own property. And according to the minutes, he recused himself from the public hearing portion, but did not abstain from the commission's vote recommending that rezoning to the town board. I've attached the minutes to the packet, which reflect that. I'm open to an explanation or a testimony that the minutes are inaccurate so that the record can be corrected, but the record as it stands does say that he failed to recuse, and I have heard complaints about this, saying that he failed to recuse. So that is my first concern. My second concern is the requesting of a waiver of a fee that he personally owed, which happened about a month later. This is the park dedication fee on the subdivision of that same property. And this is a fee that's imposed under the ordinances that his own commission administers. And this really is the crux of my issue, which is I think that as officials in local government, unless we have a very, very good reason to do so, we should not be waiving our own fees. If it were up to me, government officials would be paying double the fee. And the reasoning is because we are the ones who have the power to set the fee. Nobody else in the township has that power. They all have to pay the fee. So I think we should as well. I'm not saying that this is like illegal or anything like that. I just think that this is bad form for public officials. That's my second concern. Third concern is length of service considered alongside resident concerns. I have heard no complaints about the Parks and Recreation Department. I've heard no complaints about any committee except for planning and zoning. And So given that, I'm concerned about anybody who's on the Planning and Zoning Committee who has been serving for a long time. If the committee's not functioning well, then it needs new members. That's my third concern. Fourth concern has to do with the response to my email. So again, my concern isn't that he raised the issue publicly, and it's no problem at all, and that was always my intention. But the problem is that he framed my email as an attempt to handle the matter privately, which is the opposite is explicitly stated in the email, that I do not wish to discuss the matter privately, but only in a public meeting. And also, there was a lot of rambling thrown towards the board about an intention to remove him by any means necessary. So the board as a body appoints and is accountable for who's on the commission. We cannot really function in coordination with the commission when its chair treats the board's legitimate oversight as an attack to be resisted. Finally, the last concern that I have regards the septic noncompliance. Again, this has to do with example setting by the commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is in charge of the rules around septic noncompliance, and the septic system on Mr. Dolphy's property has been documented as noncompliant since April 2024, past its corrective deadline, with 2 notices issued and no corrective action on record. Rather than accept responsibility at the June 9th, 2026 meeting, Mr. Dolphy reacted heatedly, faulting the board and staff for mishandling the matter and asserting that the township owed him a courtesy contact before issuing notice. For the chair of Planning and Zoning to respond this way, when held accountable under a septic ordinance his own commission is charged with overseeing, sets a poor example for how to handle a notice of noncompliance. So these 5 concerns taken together, laying it out on the table, these are all the concerns that I have. The email is also included. With that, I will turn it over to anybody who would like to make comment.
Any comments?
Joe Dolphy, 7070 Fond Lake Drive. I want to thank Sam Cole for giving me a heads up on this. The reason I brought it up at Planning and Zoning was to let him know that I may not be here next month at the meeting. That's what I brought it up, and because I honestly believe there is something that planned on dismissing me from Planning and Zoning, but maybe not. Maybe you guys will, whatever, surprise me. The thing about number 1, what the heck, on the failure to recuse myself, yes, I did recuse myself from the public hearing. I may not have abstained from the vote, but I didn't vote. Yes, and yet the minutes reflect all ayes. I agree. I looked at them too. I know better than to include myself in a vote on something that includes me, okay? And maybe if the minutes don't reflect that, but I did not in my own mind vote in favor of it because I knew I shouldn't. In that technical point, maybe it's a legal point. I don't know. It wouldn't have changed the vote. I mean, it wouldn't have changed the outcome because it was a majority vote either way. So that, yeah, whatever you want to do with that. The association with the rezoning, the fee, as far as the park dedication fee, I brought the well, whatever, cut facts. The fact I split my property, but the use of the property didn't change. I had a business on one parcel and a home on the other. I didn't add any additional burden to the township as far as an additional house, additional lot. It was just a property split in order to split commercial from residential. And it shouldn't, again, if I was to create another building site or something, I can see the thing. And the other thing, because I'm a township, you can say it official, I'm an appointed official, but that shouldn't make it not right for me to request the same thing as any other taxpayer or citizen in this township. I mean, you're saying that it was out of sorts for me to do it. I don't have any say on where you or allocate money. The town board allocates money. Planning and zoning, maybe indirectly through through the ordinances, says where the money has to go to whatever, but I didn't take that into account whatsoever, other than the fact that I didn't add any additional burden to township facilities or township administration because I split the property. That's why I requested a waive the park dedication fee. I went through the Parks Committee. They voted in favor of waiving the fee. I went to the town board. They voted in favor. So, I mean, for me to, for you saying it's wrong for me to request that, I differ with that attitude because I'm just still a taxpayer. I'm a citizen of the township. And yes, I choose to serve on committees and different things, but that shouldn't make me exempt from or whatever. I shouldn't be able to hold back my voice where I feel it's necessary, where I feel it's necessary. You can vote on that, whatever you want to do. Length of time on the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm sorry, I get old, okay? I spent a lot of time, a lot of years in dedication to the township in many different ways. And the fact that I am outspoken about certain things because I've seen things fall down and fall apart throughout the township over the years. I've tried to maintain a steady thing. I've tried to go by the ordinances as much as I could. Again, some of the complaints that I think you've seen are people that came to planning and zoning, didn't get what they asked for, and they went to the town board to bypass what planning and zoning did. I've seen that. And again, that's their right too. They can do that. But to say that I was partial or impartial to their wishes, this accessory building thing has been a real fiasco. I mean, and when somebody wants something bigger than what we proposed, they'll try to go around us. And we have modified the accessory building ordinance, the proposed accessory building ordinance quite a bit. We're not done with it. Hopefully not done with it. But I also have said at different planning and zoning meetings, our purpose is to do the best for the majority of the township, not just for a few squeaky wheels. We have to be careful that we don't react to people that walk in the door saying, I don't like it that way. We have to look at the overall benefit, the development and the purpose of, the planning and zoning to whatever, establish long-term goals, long-term planning that can hold true and not, be switching every time somebody comes in with a different request. And I know I made a remark at one time, if they don't like it, they can apply for variance. Some people didn't like that. But that is a factor in any of our ordinances, that a variance is always a possibility. And again, the ordinances, the different ordinances that we've worked with, we try to make it as fair as we can to everybody, not steered or directed towards, one person's particular, need or whatever. And so I think, and I've tried to support that through the years. Technically, yeah, I suppose I didn't do everything just right, but again, I hate to, I will bring it up. You talked about elected officials. We got 2 board members that were appointed. So you're appointed just as much as planning and zoning. So I mean, don't say that it's just because of, the board is responsible for appointing whoever they feel is qualified and can serve the township. I understand that. I respect that, but I don't feel I intentionally have done anything to the detriment of Linwood Township. And that's my only argument that I can give you. And beyond that, I'm going to leave it in your hands. You guys decide what you want to do. I would continue to serve on planning and zoning if it's your wishes. And you heard tonight you want to go down to a 5-member board. That might be okay as long as you get 5 active members. And you have the people that are 5 concerned. We've had 7 and it's hard to get all 7 of us in the room at a time. The 5 people, as long as whoever you appoint is open-minded and active, involved with the township concerns and stuff. So, okay. Any questions of me before I leave?
Dan, go ahead.
I just want to say I've watched every video of P and Z since they've been videoed, and you did not vote for the park dedication fee. I did watch that. I remember it specifically, but you did not abstain, but I know you didn't vote for it. So, just to give you credit on that.
That's good to know.
Um,
I didn't know that
I believe, I know I watched it, so, as far as the park dedication fee, I mean, that, I have an issue with that too, is why, for something that simple, then that ordinance should have been changed so that you wouldn't have to come and request to not pay it.
The way the ordinance, well, and somebody can interpret it, but the ordinance reads on an administrative lot split, you have to pay a park dedication fee, same as a plat.
Right,
But
but if you're,
administrative lot split many times creates an additional building site. In this case, it didn't create an additional building site. That's
Correct.
why I felt waiving the fee should be appropriate.
and I agree, that's the way it should be written, that if you're not making a building spot, then you shouldn't have to pay that fee, right?
That's
So-
what my argument was. I'm not.
No, and
addition.
then I agree with that, but the ordinance isn't changed to that, and that's
No,
what
but. Excuse- Mr.
we should be
Chairman,
working
No,
on.
even if somebody comes in with a plat, creating 3 additional lots or something, they can come and request a waiving a park dedication fee. A developer can do that. They're right. So I mean, that's all I did is the same thing anybody else could do. The park board and town board can approve it or deny it, but a developer can do that too in certain instances. You know, because the park dedication fee is in lieu of park property, a dedicated park property. That's something that developers agreement and stuff has had in it. But I mean, that was my, I guess, argument why I shouldn't be required to pay a park dedication fee. I didn't add any additional lots or anything, and that was it. But and again, I may have, I did not abstain in certain instances, but I also didn't vote on stuff, and that was an oversight on my part. But I don't think it would have changed the outcome. It was just a matter of a technical thing that I didn't do properly.
But I've also gotten complaints about the P and Z, and honestly, some of the meetings I've watched, I wish I could get that time back. They're bad. I mean, there was a couple meetings that were like, just like, why did we even have a meeting? It's, to me, it just seems like the committee isn't functioning as a committee.
Regarding what?
Just
Regarding
in
the
general.
The main thing is the accessory building thing. That's what's been hanging for over a year.
Yeah.
That's the one that we've been working on. And if you look at where the township, what our ordinance was as a year ago, April, to what recommendations we've made, we have made some recommended changes to it. Expanding the square footage, expanding the roof height, the wall height. We have made progress towards getting things more of what people have requested. We are not done. We've changed the escalating scale as far as square footage versus acreage and stuff. We have worked on it, and to say that we're not functioning right, last summer, Susan, the zoning administrator, took a leave of absence for 2 months. It kind of stalled us on what we were trying to do. Okay, and then she came back for a couple of months, and then she quit in November. And then since November, I have been trying to contact Cindy Nash, our planning person, to try to connect and do some things to move forward. And it hasn't worked, and it's been frustrating. It's for me and for the planning and zoning. And yes, you know, we could have drafted some type of a proposal for an ordinance, but we asked, and Susan was working with it up until November. She was working with us on getting amendments and changes to it. After that, it kind of fell apart and it hasn't come back together yet. Okay, we had a township resident that did go through and put in the proposed amendments. The planning commission didn't go over exactly what he wanted, and again, we're still working on that. But as far as not functioning and not working right, planning and zoning has been trying with it, and the members, for the most part, are moving forward with it. And that's
I don't see a lot of interaction from the other members. They just sit there most of the meetings and don't say much. So to me, it's like there isn't a lot of communication going on other than,
The only communication we have is during the meeting. I mean, I don't talk to them between meetings because I'm not allowed to,
right?
you know, and so.
But even at the meetings, it seems like there isn't a lot of communication going on. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Can I
But,
piggyback on that?
Yep.
I think this clarifies, I have no problem with your age, Mr. Dolphy whatsoever. And I think your experience is an asset for the most part, but the concern I have, and I've seen this with other people too, is like when there's one person on the committee who's like so knowledgeable and has so much experience, and there's somebody on the committee who's been there for 6 months, it's very hard for that one person to speak up against the person who's so knowledgeable. And so I think that, it's an asset, but it also can be a liability, depending on just the makeup of the committee. Does that make sense?
To a point, but also if you get a bunch of greenhorns in there that don't know what the rules are, it's kind of a lost cause too.
That's true.
That's, and not to say that I dominate, I do tend to dominate the meeting because of my background and whatever. I don't always get everything right, but I do ask for opinions of everybody, what they think, what's going on, and maybe they follow me, maybe they've done their own research. I've done a lot of research on every topic that comes across the table. I look into things, I look at ordinances, I look at surrounding communities, and I have done that to try to keep things moving. I don't know that all planning and zoning members have done that, have spent the time diligently to where they really come in knowing what's we're confronted with. I can't change that. I mean, and maybe if I backed away, you'd get new members in there that are more enthusiastic and working towards stuff that will, be to the benefit of Linwood Township. But I'm not begging for the job, don't get me wrong, but I think that I have something to contribute to the township yet because of experience. And you do what you want. I'm kind of straightforward and blunt on certain things and certain people, and that offends people. I realize that, but that's just the way I am, okay? Board can do what they want to do from here on, okay? I resign myself to the fact of whatever happens, happens.
No, I appreciate you being here, Joe.
Thank you.
And you can stay or you can go back to your seat, but
I'm leaving. I'm going. You guys can hash it around, whatever you're gonna do. Good evening.
Good evening.
all right. Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I wish he would have stayed, but I understand him leaving. Maybe he felt like he was being picked on, I'm not sure, but I would have liked to have had my conversation with him in private also, but after what had happened on the P and Z, I kind of felt like maybe that was not appropriate and it should be in the meeting. But just to make this a matter of record, first of all, Joe does have, I can go on and on and on about all the great things about Joe. All of us can agree to that. He does bring a lot to the board. A couple clarifications was, I wanted to ask him a question because I didn't know if he was aware of this, but my understanding is that there was a meeting here within the last 6 or 8 months that he had made an announcement that he wasn't going to make. And after he made the announcement, at least 3 other board or committee members called and said that they were not going to be able to make the meeting for whatever reasons, and that meeting had to be canceled. To me, I don't know if his not being there was where they kind of said, well, if he's not there, there's no sense in having a meeting. I don't know what was behind it. But given some of the complaints that I've received, it just kind of seems to me like maybe him not being there, everybody thought, well, it's not worth having the meeting. Well, that's not what you want. You have 6 other members of that committee that are as equally important as one other person. And so that's one thing that we absolutely don't want to get into is where a committee feels like they can't function without a single person or a couple people there. So that was one of my concerns, to piggyback on what you two were saying. And it's not that Joe doesn't bring value. He brings an enormous amount of value. I think it's in the delivery, the things that he says, I think can put people off. The complaints that I've received about Joe, nothing is about, I didn't get a variance passed. It has nothing to do with, at least the complaints I've had, have not been about the decisions of the committee or the recommendations. It's been more the conduct and how things have been handled in the impression. And I'm just gonna say these because like I said, Sam, I appreciate you doing the detailed research on that. These are all things that I was aware of and I was concerned about. I didn't do that level of research, so I appreciate you. So I will support what you put on there as being concerns of mine as well. I want to give a couple examples. If he goes back and watches this meeting, I hope he takes this to heart and maybe we can work on this. But I want to use the annual meeting as an example from my perspective that made me kind of take a big step back. And partway through that annual meeting, Mr. Dolphy stood up. And in the 2-3 minutes that he stood here, he offended the board by announcing to everybody that the board didn't know what we were doing. Absolutely didn't know anything about what we were doing. We didn't know a budget. And he said that, and if you wait a little bit later in the meeting, I think it'll become evident to all the rest of you. I was very offended by that. He wasn't here. He doesn't know what we know, what we don't know. He had no, it was just an opinion of his based on what I have no idea. Immediately after that, he went in. I cannot remember the statement exactly. I'm sure other people that were offended by this probably do, but there was something that implied that our staffing is undereducated and overpaid. That is not tolerable by anybody, resident, supervisor, employees, it doesn't matter. That is not acceptable. Then he went into the attorney, said that our attorney was overpaid. And something that a lot of people may not know is in the first few months of having this new attorney, we were in the process of Martin Lake Road project and we had to get 9 easements. And the engineer and I went out and met with 4 of them and they were all talking money. And one of them was 10,000, one was looking at 20,000 plus. In working with the attorney, I was notified that there was a maintenance and use law, never heard of it. And we were able to acquire the area, not acquire it, but use the area that we had been maintaining all the way along in the right of way. We were able to use that without having to pay for easements and keep it legal. That decision in itself probably saved this township at least $90,000. And so that's basically a year's worth of pay for that attorney. So to me, these are things that people don't understand. Why would you offend an attorney? You don't know the facts behind it. And the last thing is there was a comment about our planner and he already talked about here, his frustration in not reaching a planner, but there was an agreement with the planner when we picked her up that she was already overworked and she was here for on a limited basis. So those 4 statements that he made in the 2 or 3 minutes in that annual meeting, like I said, I've known Joe since I was 6 years old. And I stood back and I kind of went, wow, how can you do that? And that's a representative of our township because he's an influential member of the community and he's an influential member of the planning and zoning. Honestly, I hope there's a way to keep him continuing to bring benefit to the township, whether it's P&Z or other ways. But I think that this should be used more as a learning exercise in kind of figuring out how to manage the P&Z committee and how to interact with people in a way that you can still make the same point without blatantly offending people. You know, that's the difficult part. And I hope when this is done, he walks away seeing that for what it is and not just being so angry and upset that he walks away. That would be a horrible thing because he does bring an enormous amount of value and history to this township. So sorry I rambled on for a while, but I wanted to get those points as a matter of record. Sam?
I'm just gonna piggyback on a couple of those things, and there's a few things I wanted to bring up too. For one, I agree completely, staff's off limits. The punching bag of this township is the town board. And so criticism should be directed towards us, which brings me to my second point, which is I have no problem with his criticism of us whatsoever. Parks Committee has plenty to say about how we handle stuff. I have no problem with that. It's the way that it's brought up. And again, you know, some people are like that. Some people are very blunt. I think that there's been times where the bluntness has crossed the line. And so we don't need to rehash that out. That's outlined, especially in the conduct on the previous meeting and the septic non-compliance. I think that those 2 instances cross the line from disagreement to just inappropriate conduct for a township representative. However, I do think that it's hard to deliver this kind of feedback and not sound like you just think he's a terrible person. I don't think Joe's a terrible person at all. And I think I mentioned this in my email. I think that the township is better off with him having served for so long, but I think that whatever it is, whether it's the current makeup of the board or whatever is going on right now, I just don't think that we're going to benefit from him continuing to run P and Z. I think, and that seems contradictory to the idea that he also was great on P and Z for so long, but I think both of those things are true. And I also think that he's not a bad person. I mean, there's a difference between being right for a role, being a bad person, and sometimes I say stupid stuff all the time. But if I came in here and I said something that was across the line on this board, the people can vote me out, even though I'm appointed. People can vote me out. That's their mechanism. Nobody can vote out a member of P and Z who they feel like talk to them in a rude way. They have no mechanism for that. We are the only people who can control that. And so that's why I feel like this deserves a lot of consideration. The last thing I want to add is I want to make sure the minutes reflect what Dan said about recalling watching that meeting and that he recused, because some people in the P and Z also recalled the same thing. And so I definitely am sympathetic to the idea that the motion or the minutes could be inaccurate. So I don't want this to just turn into that. The last thing on the voting or the fee, I think this is an area where reasonable minds can differ. And I think it also comes down to specifics. My personal opinion is, like, barring some very, very significant circumstances, waiving of fees is off the table for township representatives. At least when they have to do with what they oversee. So P and Z fees for P and Z should be off limits for the most part. That's my personal opinion. I think reasonable minds can differ on that.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Dan, anything else?
I had something, but
All right, Lisa?
was listening to you.
Well, since
Lost
they
both.
did talk about the septic tank before, but I just would have liked to know why he waited. I understand you want the cash, but being on the planning and zoning, he should have at least communicated what he was doing. I guess that's the only.
All right, appreciate that. Andy?
I think what I was gonna say is that I think he'd still be an asset on the committee, but I think that maybe he shouldn't be the chair, but so we don't have that.
We don't have that.
We don't
authority.
have that authority.
And even if he's not chair, I think he has a very dominant personality on that, whether his title is chair or not. It's my concern.
Chair Olson, if I can, just
Please.
piggybacking off of what Supervisor Cole just said. I think as somebody on the outside, not being a supervisor, not being a town official, but being somebody who works closely with those individuals, I can't speak for Planner Nash, but I can speak from my perspective. It tends to be difficult to work with somebody who has a lot of knowledge and walks or marches to the beat of their own drum. The attitude that you expressed at that he expressed at the annual meeting gives concerns to me of the ability to consult and confer with somebody else because he may think that he has the knowledge and doesn't need to. And I've seen that get clients into trouble a lot because although you all are the decision-making body as the board, P&Z can get you into trouble if they're making representations to the members of the public about here's what the township policy is, here's our zoning code, and it's inaccurate or in conflict. And that's where Planner Nash and I would need to do cleanup work and recovery work for the town. So that is a concern that I have just, in my limited experience with Mr. Dolphy, but I just want to say in your consideration for appointments moving forward, that somebody who is willing, even if they have a great knowledge base, to be deferential and have the ability to consult, I think is a valuable characteristic.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very difficult topic.
How much longer is his seat open?
He's up for reappointment right now. Yep, he's actually a little bit later in the agenda. All right, anything else on this topic? And then we can put this to rest and move forward.
Information only. So we're all good.
All right. All right, we'll move on to old business. We removed 8.1. 8.2 is planning and zoning committee seat terms. And so this is, so I got a little clarification today. Joe Dolphy's term is up, this month in 26. James is up in 26. And Rory Peggins was actually up in 25. We only had 2 seats this year. We had 3 last year and 2 of those 3 have since resigned. So my question is if at what point we reappoint, we should probably make Rory's official as well, even though it was last year. The way the ordinance reads is, he can fill until the vacancy is filled officially. Question comes up. If we are making modifications to the chapter 2, which includes the planning and zoning, if it is going to move to a 5-member board versus a 7 plus a alternate, should we table the appointments until our next meeting, which is July 14th? Andy?
A point of clarification on that too, with exactly, I agree with probably that statement to allow applicants to reevaluate on that timeline, because in that was also removing the alternate, so the alternate may not have had a chance to apply, thinking that position has now been eliminated. But also in the discussion was the option for remote meetings, and the committee speaking to that probably not, I don't know what the board's flavor is or what, we've already made it that you could sit on that
Yeah.
TV screen all year long if you want, so I don't, but on the flip side, allowing that for the committees, we don't have that happening at all committee levels either. So, because that discussion was brought up at P and Z with an interested applicant, so
That's
how
something
to
should be
make that
allowed.
happen, and then that would open up everyone to reevaluate, and like I said, have the alternate be able to apply if wanted. And then understanding the terms of attendance and what that means for everybody, that you are able to attend remote, my understanding, because we have the technology.
Yeah, since we're recording theirs now, absolutely. All right.
So if there's no other points from anyone else, I would motion to table the appointments to allow reapplication for especially the alternate, because that position in this language, when it becomes official, will be eliminated. And then the applicants theirs will still be there if they wanted, but it would give everyone a reset sort of. And as it sits under ordinance right now, people sit in there until removed. So nothing's changing.
Right. And do we want to put a date that it's tabled to, or do we just want to leave that open-ended for right now?
I would go, we got 3 weeks to the next meeting. I would
Yeah.
extend it to the next meeting. That's
Okay.
3 weeks. That's more than enough time for communications to happen with applicants. And that way there it can be addressed. And then it would still be prior to the next P and Z meeting.
Okay, so you made a motion then to table it until 7/14?
Correct.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded with Andy and Lisa. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries 5-0.
And Chair Olson, if I may quickly, just a note, if you're going to be doing interactive technology for planning commission, they're still subject to open meeting law. So make sure you have at least one member of the public present. You're notifying in the notices for the planning commission meetings that individuals may be appearing, planning commission members may be appearing remotely. I would just keep a standing notice out there like you have for the town board meetings, so you don't have to repost it every single time. And then remember that all of the votes need to be done by roll call.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Just make sure they're aware of all of that.
Yeah. And Alicia, could you update the meeting or have Julie update the meeting list to include planning and zoning on May remote? Well, I suppose once
Say
we get
any
to
and
that.
all committees as the language, because
Yeah,
the others.
Brilliant.
All right. So that's tabled, and then, yeah, and then all of the existing members are, do we have a planning and zoning? When is planning and zoning? July 21st, so they'll be after the next meeting. Okay. All right, we're done with 8.2. 8.4. Boy, this thing, I feel like I've been working on a handbook since the first month I came in as a supervisor. So everybody got a copy of the handbook in the board packet. And there's a couple things, just a couple minor things that we had modified since you got that in the board packet that I would like to get in this version. One of them is under the organization job descriptions. Mark had added in a paragraph on here that says failure to adequately perform the duties outlined in an employee's job description or failure to demonstrate the qualifications required for the position may be addressed through the township's performance management process, which may include coaching, evaluation, and other corrective measures. Nothing in this section limits the township's discretion to take employment action up to and including termination at any and for all lawful reasons. That replaced the wording that was previously on there, so it just clarified, made things a little bit more legal.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure I'm not waiving your at will right as an employer, right? And so I just wanted to make that clear in there as well.
What page was that one on? Just as I'm.
That is on page 13. That's under chapter organization, job description, so 6.1. So that was just a wording change in there. All right, and then the next one was on page 26, should be on your page 26. It's under section 11.05. That's a response to allegations of disrespectful workplace. And again, there was another line item put in here. We had line items 1 through 6. We added a 7th. And this was the procedural steps contained in this section represent best practices for investigating disrespectful workplace behavior. Failure to follow any portion of these steps not done invalidate any disciplinary action taken by the town board so long as the disciplinary action complies with relevant state and federal law.
So essentially here, I want to make clear in the policy that these 1 through 6 and the very detailed requirements we establish, some of which are required by law, Loudermill hearings, etc., that only the legal requirements are binding and that everything else is best practice for you to go through and how to process it. But if you miss a minor technicality that's in these 6 provisions of the handbook, you can still discipline that person so long as you followed the law. This is just a best practice guide for you to follow. But so long as you're doing everything by the color of the law or letter of the law, it doesn't invalidate the action or discipline that you impose.
Perfect. And then the other change was very minor. It was, I don't have the page on here, but ABDO, what we did was we had a section for sick leave and we had a section for ESST. And so what ABDO did was they merged the 2 into 1. Otherwise it was too confusing. It showed that we had 2 programs when we really don't have 2 programs. So basically what we did was renamed it instead of sick leave and then another one called ESST. Now it's sick leave / ESST. So that was changed throughout that document. And then she rewrote it. She rewrote the paragraphs in there to combine all of them into one. So we're still doing the 9 sick days for an employee. So that's still the same, but what it does is by merging them 2 together, she said that we're complying with all the legal requirements of addressing it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you have a sick policy that is compliant with and or more generous than the ESST law, you do not need to offer ESST in addition. So creating one bank of time is the most efficient, streamlined way to do it. No problem with those revisions.
So those were the changes since the version that was in the handbook. or in the board packet. So if you're comfortable with those changes, what I'd like to do is get this adopted. So we've got updated handbook. I'd like to get it adopted tonight with those amendments. I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt the employee handbook. It's version 1.01, effective immediately.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. John and Lisa, is there any other discussion or questions?
Just on the org chart with the flow and the dotted lines, as far as managing that for staff, and what is, it's there, but what does that look like in terms of interaction with trying to set the board up with the coordinator and then still having all those dotted lines? To me, I feel it'd be better with more clarity and more clear direction and trying to get that one person to hub it. Because you're just opening it up to a bunch of people going around. Well, I just followed the dotted line. And I don't feel that was the intention we've been striving for, but.
Right, no, and the amendments to this, there could be whatever we need to amend it. I'm guessing where there's gonna be some amendments between now and the end of the year. As Alicia is implementing the handbook, there's gonna be things she's gonna see that we may have missed. And the dotted lines, I also asked the same question. I didn't know whether they should be there or not, or if there should be, some sort of description along the line explaining what that dotted line is. But statutorily, I think the clerk does have to report to the board to some degree, doesn't she, Mark? She or he?
Yes, to some limited extent. As a basic function, yes. Overall scheme statutorily, yes. I'm trying to think 36711 clerk's duties. You act as clerk of the town, keep the records as otherwise provided by law, keep the records, keep the minutes, file and preserve all accounts, record every request, post as required by law. So I mean, these are the day-to-day functions that you order the clerk to do. Plus, the clerk is your employee. So from an employment perspective, based upon the job descriptions we've drafted, it includes and all other duties as assigned by the town board or coordinator. And so, yeah, the clerk is required to do the orders of the town board.
Okay. So that's where it made sense to me, and I don't think the deputy clerk can directly report to the treasurer, right? For separation of duties.
I would keep them separate.
Okay, so that dotted line then would protect us if this is ever looked at, I think. From a legal standpoint, I think that protects us in saying that they're not reporting to the coordinator. That's how I looked at it anyway. There we go. Sorry.
Deputy clerk or deputy treasurer? Oh, I see deputy treasurer goes under coordinator. Yes,
Because that maintains the separation of duties between the two.
that makes sense to me.
So I don't know if there's like I said, I was trying to look at some words that I could put alongside those dotted lines, and if somebody can come up with something, I'll be happy to work with Alicia to get them put in. Because if this motion is passed, Alicia is the new document owner. You're welcome. So if somebody wants to come up with some words to better define that, because I agree, Andy, I struggle with the same thing. I even talked to Alicia about it because I was like, I didn't know how confusing that was going to be, but if we can come up with something, let's get it in the next amendment. If everybody's okay with that.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion or questions? Okay, the big vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Abstaining.
Okay. Opposed and one abstention, so 4-0-1.
Good work.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we had a heck of a team working on this, so can't
Should
thank
last us-
everybody enough.
Hopefully till next year. We'll get it.
All right. So that concludes old business. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. We're gonna be going to a closed session also, so I'm just gonna jump ahead. Upcoming meetings, we got the town board monthly workshop. It'll be on July 7th. That's our longer one, at 5:30 right here in the boardroom. We've got the town board workshop, which will be the one just before the next meeting on July 14th at 5:30. Parks is scheduled to meet on July 20th at 6 PM right here. And then planning and zoning will be on July 21st at 6 PM in the boardroom. And then, of course, the next regular scheduled board meeting is July 14th at 6:30. Sam?
That July 7th, is that our workshop with the Parks Committee?
That was already scheduled, and that was the one they didn't come to though, but I mean, if we have to reschedule one.
Oh, okay. What do you know what the agenda is for that?
I'm hoping seniors housing.
Well, that's getting looked at, Charles, and just a reminder, we'll need to jump back to 7-1.
Yes, we'll do that. Thank you.
If it's not super loaded, I'm wondering if we can get Parks on that because Parks has a little few issues they want to work through. Is it loaded? Oh, it's empty?
Okay, Parks is on there now.
Okay, I will let Parks know.
Let Julie know too.
Julie,
You're gonna put that in your notes, Alicia. Okay,
or do I need to let Julie know?
no,
I got it.
Alicia said she
Okay,
wouldn't.
I will let Parks.
All right. All right, 7.1. Let's come back to there. Thank you, Mark.
So I've taken the time to draft both an ordinance and a summary for publication. The ordinance is rather short, so what I've done is paragraph 1 of this ordinance incorporates as exhibit A the 30 pages that are from your agenda packet that you've reviewed with the red lines that are in there, and orders the clerk and or coordinator to work with the town attorney to get this codified into your ordinances or your code officially. And then there are 2 additional call outs. I want to make sure I have these right. The second is for committee membership. All committees within the purposes of chapter 2 shall be 5. Okay. And then the third section, but second thing that we've changed outside of exhibit A is tires, $6 per tire in the fee schedule. Then the rest of it is just your standard boilerplate. You're directing the clerk to incorporate these amendments into your code, that if a court invalidates a provision of this ordinance, it shall only be limited to that narrow provision. The rest shall remain in effect. All ordinances that conflict are repealed, and the effective date of publication. I'm also going to give the chair a summary for publication. It very shortly summarizes, and anybody can look at this if they want, that you're amending chapter 2, article 1, chapter 2, article 3, chapter 2, article 6 to amend administrative language and fee for services contained in those chapters. So this will do everything you need to make everything you wanted in the packet come to life. So I'll bring these 2 to the chair and then field any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark.
So, and I will note, like, this is not my preferred way to do it with an exhibit A, but for sake of expediency, it is perfectly fine, legally defensible. Do not lose exhibit A. And the thing that I did is, just in case, because people misplace documents all the time, is on the ordinance, I identify that this is identified as agenda packet supplement number 2, and then the date that it was created to give extra identifying information. So if the 2 documents ever get separated again, you can find the agenda packet, find the document, put them back together.
Want to do those?
I just want to make a comment that we did discuss it before. There is different cities throughout the metro area that you can bring up to 10 tires free. Just need to call them. Anoka did have one last spring. They were hoping to have another one this fall, but it was not scheduled yet. It was on the website. We could probably get that information to them if they called.
Sure. Yeah, if they don't mind driving a little further. Yep. Oh, sounds good. Thank you.
So then we'll need a motion to approve the ordinance as I've drafted it, which is labeled 2026-11. And then after that, a motion to approve the summary for publication.
All right. I will make a motion approving ordinance number 2026-11, Town of Linwood, and ordinance amending chapter 2 of the Linwood Town Code regarding administration, boards, committees, and fees.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Then I will make a motion approving summary of ordinance 2026-11 for publication. Town of Linwood ordinance amending chapter 2 of the Linwood Town Code regarding administration, boards, and committees and fees.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion been made. Andy and Dan, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, that concludes 7.1. All right, so that leaves closed session left. Is there anything to come before the board before we go into closed session? Hearing none. All right, and then for you folks, we'll do our closed session in here if you don't mind.
Can we get a motion and a vote to go into closed?
Yep, yeah, I was just gonna let them know
Oh,
first.
gotcha.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into closed session, so you can't be in for the closed session portion. You're more than welcome to come back, but the only thing we'll do is adjourn after the closed session.
Technically, we will come back with findings
Yes.
about the outcome of, it's in the notice that you'll read, but we'll come back and we'll discuss the outcome of the performance evaluation without revealing any private personnel data.
Thank you for that. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Someone want to lock the door behind them?
Yep.
Oh, motion to go into closed session.
All right, I get to read this first.
We'll do that after the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made, seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries 5-0. All right. So Linwood Township will be entering into a closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3A to conduct an evaluation of the performance of the township treasurer / coordinator, Alicia Morris. Once the performance evaluation is complete, the town board will summarize its conclusions regarding the evaluation without disclosing any private personnel data. All right, so
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are back into open session. And so what we'll do is I'll turn the floor over to Attorney Mark Alsites to do a summary of the closed session.
Perfect. So pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13 D05 subdivision 3A, the summary of the closed meeting for performance evaluation is as follows. There's no discipline imposed. There is no ordered corrective action as a result of the performance evaluation. Some of the strengths highlighted of the treasurer coordinator is an effective ability to communicate, particularly when absent, coordinating day to day. Knowledge and level of policy and procedure of the townships. And I would also note part of that communication was a note particularly of Friday updates that were reflected as a great way of creating communication amongst the supervisors. An area to work on is delegation. It's an essential component of the coordinator. And the board moving forward would like the coordinator to present the town board with options and then propose a recommendation based upon those options, based upon the coordinator's obviously expertise and ability to oversee all positions. And then one other thing to note is that the coordinator stepping into this position has kind of observed and seen a era of happiness, some could say. Folks working well together back at the recycling center. And it is a goal of the coordinator and objective of the board to kind of emulate the morale back there and bring that across the township in all different departments, committees, and essentially just creating an environment where people are happy to work with each other and communication is good and running in all directions.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Mark. All right. Anything to add?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Right, motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:14 PM. Thank you.